Hey everybody, Lindsey Rainwater here, your divine gifts coach and intuitive guide, along with Archangel's Emissary. Starting a few minutes late today, about 6 minutes. I apologize for that. As you could probably tell, I was running a little late this morning with everything. The last few days have been kind of crazy in their own way, and in a way that kind of ties in with everything. Actually, it's been about the last week since the last time I tried to be on here with you guys. Anyone who was watching that day probably saw me get 10-15 minutes into talking to you guys, and all of a sudden there went my feed and it said, oh, this hangout has ended. And apparently my internet just decided to stop working, which was particularly crazy because my husband was on his computer in the same room, not actually on the internet, but I'm pretty sure he still had internet. So it just went crazy, and then I couldn't get back on. So I took that to mean last week's hangout was just not meant to be, and that I should try again with that topic this week. And it's still very relevant. So if you did see last week's, sorry if I sound a little redundant because I want to go over what I was talking about when I got cut off and go from there. So, and before I forget to tell you guys, there will not be a hangout next week because being Friday, day after Thanksgiving, we're going to be celebrating with family on Friday. So I'm not even going to ask you, I'm not even going to ask myself to show up and do a hangout right then. And I'm not going to ask you guys to show up to watch one, but we will be back the week after that. So we're heading into Thanksgiving. How do you feel about that? I had some trepidation about it last week, and it kind of ties in with a lot of things that I've been thinking about and a lot of things that I want to talk to you guys about. So last week I was sharing a story that had to do with just staying sane during the holidays because Thanksgiving and Christmas, and to a little bit of a lesser extent New Year's, seem to be this kind of psycho season for so many people, and we just run around and lose our minds, and the energy is all over the place, and it's crazy because on a logical level we know this is a time for family and this is a time for being thankful and counting our blessings, whatever those blessings may be. And it's still so easy to lose sight of that so quickly with everything going on. It's very easy to get sucked into the mentality that it's like, oh my God, I'm just running around and it's crazy and I'm so overwhelmed, because I'm a little disturbed by this trend, and I would like to talk about that more later. And I'm curious if you guys have noticed it, that being overwhelmed is like fashionable now. And it's, if you say, you know what, my life is really cool, my life is awesome, it's not saying that you don't have problems. It's not saying that you don't have things you have to take care of, but it's like, no, my life's great. Yeah, I'm not running around like a chicken with my head cut off because I haven't overextended myself and I haven't made these commitments that I can't or don't want to keep. And that's, people look at you like you have a third eyeball, and it's like, well, that's not normal. Like, no, your standard of living is not normal. This insane running around and being overwhelmed all the time, I don't think is normal. I don't think that's how we're supposed to function. And those of us who are more heart-centered and spiritually minded, we know that on a logical level, we understand that that's not how we should be functioning, but it's how a lot of us function anyway. I will say that I do have the benefit at this stage in my life of not being the hostess around the holidays. And I think my family is kind of trying to keep it that way because I think they don't want to see me as a hostess. So yes, I realize that when you're in that position of, family matron, basically, or you're just the person who signed up for it, it does add more stress around the holidays. But it still doesn't mean you have to get sucked into this psycho crazy energy that everybody seems to blame things on around the holidays. You create your own energy. So I guess that's my number one point. You have the opportunity around the holidays to create your own energy. If you don't want Thanksgiving to be a dramatic stress fest, don't let it be. I mean, that's an oversimplification. I realize that, and I will let you know I am not perfect, and we're going to get into that. But the first thing that you can do is just say, you know what? No, I'm not doing the craziness thing. These holidays are going to be great, and I'm not going to feel guilty about not doing this or that. You know, if you're hosting a party and you make the turkey and you make the dressing and you have to go to the store and buy pie, it's okay. You know, you choose, no, I'm going to make a couple sacrifices here and there in order for my head to not blow up and want to, you know, go crazy on all my family members and guests because I have not been allowed to enjoy myself at all today. So make a choice to own your energy this holiday season, because most people don't. They just kind of pull a jellyfish and let themselves get swept into the hype that surrounds the holidays, and it just kind of ruins it for them. And the last few years, my family has really chilled out around the holidays. My mom has decided, you know what, I'm not going, you know, yeah, she still makes this really amazing effort, but it's like, I'm not going to stress out about this. I'm, you know, guys, pick up a pie, or can you make the pie, or, you know, this or that. And the amount of stress surrounding our family holidays has just nosedived. And like this year, it's going to be me and my husband and my parents. That's it, because none of my siblings are going to be able to make it this year. And choosing to not make that a big deal, that it's like, we're all adults. We know, you know, my brother lives literally all the way across the country. You can't get much more east but until you leave the continental United States. And it's just like, you guys are adults. You have a life. You can't just drop everything and come back here. So again, just appreciating what we have and not making it a big deal. Because I have other family members who want to make it a big deal, that it's like, oh my God, you have to be here. No, we really don't. Because it's just not, it's not going to work. We're going to be so stressed out. We're not going to enjoy anything. And to those family members, that's not important. What's important is everyone being there, no matter how stressed out and miserable they are. And we've chosen, you know what? No, we're not playing that game. We're choosing our holiday energy, and we're choosing a more relaxed holiday. And people, this is not really the tangent I meant to go off on, but I think people really put too much emphasis on ceremony. And I think maybe that's something I've thrown out the window in the last few years. It's like, the holidays are not about ceremony. The holidays are about love and appreciation for what you have and the people who you are around. And everything else is just kind of superfluous. So if you're not feeling it, don't do it, and just say, my energy is my own, and I'm making a decision on how I'm going to handle it. So anyway, sorry about that. Last week I was telling you about something that was a huge learning experience for me. Sorry, that ear is feeling weird. And what happened, and this was a long time ago. Goodness, I was either very, very early teens, like maybe 13, 14, I think, when this happened. We were out shopping with my mom, and it was me and my oldest brother and my mom, obviously. And we were at a store, and it was, I mean, I don't want to call out any particular store name, but one of those stores where they kind of have everything. They have clothes, they have decor, they have gifts, they have, you know, basically it's one of those all-in-one stores, one-stop shopping type stores. And I don't remember exactly where in the holidays it landed, if we were already past Thanksgiving or not. Obviously, definitely weren't to Christmas yet. And my brother and I were actually wandering around looking at something over here. My mom's over here. And all of a sudden, I went from being perfectly fine to making a comment like, I freaking hate holiday shopping. And yes, we were kind of there to do some holiday shopping, but my mom was really the one doing the holiday shopping. And even I kind of had this moment, as soon as I said it, I'm like, where the heck did that come from? And my brother looked at me and kind of did the same thing. He's like, what? What the heck are you on about? You're, big brothers, you probably know how they are. But basically just was like, shut up, you don't know what you're talking about. Which was kind of irritating just because I was already really confused on what had just happened, because I love the holidays. Halloween and Christmas are like my times of year. I think they're absolutely fantastic. So I was like, what the heck just happened? Especially since the store was not even crowded. That was what was crazy. It's not like people are bumping into us and jostling us and everybody's running around like psychos. And so I kind of, it bothered me. Something deeply bothered me about this sudden appearance of this thought, I guess you could say, and this overwhelming sensation that I was just so over this, so done, when I was actually just out enjoying myself. And so I was like, that was weird. And so we continued looking at stuff, and we hooked back up with my mom, and we're over looking at something, and all of a sudden here's this sensation again that it's like, I'm so done, I just want to go home, I'm so over this, blah. And that was when it hit me that the same woman had walked past us both times that I had experienced that. And I grew up knowing that I perceived the world differently than the people around me. And it was really, it was interesting, obviously, because none of my other family members experienced the world the way that I did. So it really led to feeling kind of isolated at a lot of points. And that's a big part of my story, and why I'm here was moments like that were so strange and so disturbing to me, and got reactions from my family members like, what the hell is your problem? But that was one of the first times that I think that I realized, and I didn't know what an empath was at the time, but that was when I started realizing I'm taking on other people's emotions and I don't even know what to do with that. And as we, then I started experimenting with it, because, we continued walking around the store, and this woman's walking around the store. And I realized at that point I was aware of it, but I was even trying to, okay, oh, here she comes again. I can see her coming up from the other end of the aisle. You know what? I'm just going to keep my cool. I'm not going to experience that. And she'd walk by. And again, it's just like, oh my God, I'm so done. I just want to go home. And so that was my first experience with holiday stress that wasn't mine. And realizing, I was fortunate, I think, to realize at such an early age that I could take on other people's emotions, and that it could happen very easily, and you could not even know where it came from. And knowing now what I know, I can look back over my entire life from the time I was a toddler, my first memories, my earliest memories, and go, oh, that's why I was a basket case. Okay. And so I really wanted to address that, because if I struggled with it, and I still do, because I've learned how to shield myself, but occasionally you go out, and it's not just around the holidays, you go out, you go shopping, and someone walks past you, or you get in line with someone that you're just like, all of a sudden you're angry, or you're disproportionately happy for anything that's going on in your life, which those aren't so bad, because it's, nothing wrong with being disproportionately happy, but it's so easy to take on people's energy. And I guess it does kind of tie into the tangent that I went off on earlier, that being overwhelmed and stressed out is like fashionable. Like how much more overbooked and stressed out and overwhelmed can I be than all my friends? I don't know if you guys are seeing that. I would love to hear if anyone else is seeing that, because I am seeing it, and it confuses the heck out of me. So I realized that especially around the holidays when everyone's kind of freaking out, it suddenly becomes very easy to be taking on other people's energy. And if you don't realize that it's going on, it can ruin your holidays. And that also goes back to claiming your energy. You know what, this is my energy. I'm making a decision on how this is going to go, and I'm not going to let anyone screw that up for me. And that is not easy to do, but it is important to do. And the more you do it, the easier it gets. So that's the first thing, just being aware of it and saying, my energy, my little sphere, I am in control of this, and I am not going to take on anyone else's craziness, whether it be family or whether it be some stranger that I walked by in a store who was having a bad day. So once you're aware of it, you can start taking steps to protect yourself, which obviously is the next thing, and that's very, very important. The first thing that I would recommend is that you do a chakra balancing, get your chakras balanced, or work on it yourself. And we could have an entire class on chakra balancing, so I'm not sure how far into that I want to get. But around this time of year, I find myself very drawn to work with my root chakra. And it's one of those chicken and egg things because red is everywhere at this time of year. And, you know, when you have like Santa stuff and just, you know, autumnal colors, which I'm absolutely in love with year round. I'm decorating with autumnal colors throughout my entire downstairs. And it's like, did this time of year cause red, or well, what am I trying to say here? Chicken and egg. That there's so much red around. So does that make me think about the root chakra, or is the root chakra so important this time of year? And that's why everyone kind of adopted red and green as the colors of the season. Because around this time of year, you're thinking about home, you're thinking about family, you're thinking about who you are and what's going on in your life and what blesses you and what you want for the coming year. And that really has to do with your grounding and your home. And that's a lot of what the root chakra is about. So around this time every year, I really kind of get focused in on that. And when I focus on, you know, the color red and chakra meditations for my root chakra, where I'm picturing roots coming down, you know, out of my feet, out of the soles of my feet, and anchoring me in a loving manner, all of a sudden I can deal with the energy of the season a lot better. And I mean, I think throughout the entire year, you really should be working on all of your chakras, because everything from your root and your grounding to how open you are to, you know, everything that's going on that we can't, you know, see with our eyes, or at least most people can't, is very important. But so like I said, we could spend hours talking about chakras, so I don't really want to get into that right now, but just it's something to think about. Maybe check in with them, make sure that you're feeling grounded and that you feel like your chakras are balanced, because that's going to make it a heck of a lot easier to stay sane through the rest of the holidays, especially when dealing with difficult people. Aside from that, shielding yourself from outside energies is very important. A great example is the woman in the store, that I'm getting hit with waves of just frustration and anxiety and fatigue, just this like soul deep weariness. And it's like, wow, that's not me and that's not how I'm feeling. So where is this coming from and how can I get rid of it? Another great example is family. I've got some interesting family members that I really don't enjoy seeing, to be honest. And I know that sounds horrible, but I'm trying to be very honest that even as an angelic life coach and things like that, we don't always, nobody has it all together. And I'm writing a blog post on this as well, that there's always going to be people who get under your skin, and you're always going to have trouble with someone or, some circumstance. And, you don't always just let things roll off you that the way that you should logically. Like up here, I know I shouldn't have a problem with this person. I should just let it go. I should just, what, that's your problem. Your bad energy is not my problem. But even I deal with some serious anger issues over a couple people in my extended family. And this year in particular has been interesting, and we'll get into that. But one of the most important things is making sure that you're walking into a situation being prepared to deflect anything that you don't want to deal with. Because you know what? They might be your family. It does not mean you have to put up with their crap. So the first thing that I've started doing is wearing black tourmaline. That is the most effective negativity shield crystal that I have found thus far. Now, I know everybody works with crystals different ways, but I'm just saying, I've tried smoky quartz. I've tried obsidian, and obsidian works pretty good, but it almost shields me too much when it's like obsidian puts up this wall and nothing gets through, and that includes good stuff. And I know some people use it with great results and they don't have that problem. But for me personally, it seemed like it was just putting up a wall, and I was isolated all of a sudden, which in some situations was actually preferable. Like, I don't really know what's going on. I'd rather walk in there being completely shielded than not have enough shielding. But for the most part, it was actually really frustrating, because I go into a family get together and there's people there that I like, along with a couple people that it's like, okay, I don't need your energy getting all over me and having to cleanse it off later. And all of a sudden you're not connecting with anyone because you're completely shielded. And smoky quartz, I had a problem with bouncing things back at me. Like if I got angry or if I got frustrated, it would bounce it back at me. And so when you're picking your protection crystals, just keep things like that in mind, that they do work differently and they have great applications, and everyone works with them differently. I mean, obviously you might not react to smoky quartz the same way that I would, but do some research. And it also kind of just comes down to trial and error to find out what's going to work best for you. But for me, I found that a couple black tourmaline bracelets work wonders because it keeps the negativity off. Black tourmaline generally does not need to be cleansed. So I just let it hang out with some citrine on my crystal charging table back here after I wear it, and it's fine. But it still lets things come through. You still have the energetic connection with the people around you who you want to connect with. And even the people who are kind of not always, you don't want to take on all their energy because they just throw negative energy around because they don't really know what else to do. If there is something positive there, if there is anything positive in your relationship, I've noticed that can still pass back and forth, that it's like, you know what, I still love you, even if you absolutely drive me crazy and you, just want to spread your poor energy everywhere. I still love you, and that gets through, but I'm not, letting your bad energy attach itself to me, because we're just not going to go there. And obviously meditation, just spending some time in meditation is always recommended. And around the holidays, there's a couple things that you can think about. Number one is setting intentions, I guess, is kind of both of them. Number one is setting an intention of, I only want positivity. I only want positivity to come to me. And if they're going to throw anything negative at me, it's just going to bounce off and it's not going to affect me at all. And another intention to set, and this is going back to, we're still in November, and even Thanksgiving is still in November. So we're still in the 11th month. and we were talking about this a couple weeks ago, that this is the month where manifestations happen at an incredibly rapid rate. So if you have a family member that you know you have to see and you're kind of stressing out about it, you need to set the intention of, you know what? No, everything's going to go just the way it needs to. Everything is going to go absolutely fantastic, however that means. And setting that intention opens the door for you to have a nice visit with them. You know, even if things aren't absolutely perfect, you're still setting it out there that's like, I'm not going to let this just be, you know, a train wreck like it has in the past. And if you stress out about it and you're just like, oh my God, you know, is this going to be like last time I saw them when it was just horrible, and everybody, or not everybody, but somebody got really drunk and there was suddenly this big argument, and basically everyone ended up just kind of cowering in one side of the room going, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. That's more likely to happen again. You can set that energy, and you just like set the stage for it to happen again, and nobody wants that. And this is something that I've been dealing with personally this year, because there's an extended family member that I have not seen in a very long time, and there's a very good reason. I want nothing to do with them. There is nothing positive in seeing them, unfortunately. But instead of just like, you know what, this is going to be great, I started freaking out when I found out that I was going to have to see them this year. And just like, oh my God, this is going to be horrible. And just totally went down this path of just negative thinking about the whole thing. And I suddenly realized that I was just setting it up for just the absolute worst to happen. And so it's like, okay, that's stupid. This is November and I'm manifesting anything I'm talking about. So I started going, you know what? Everything's going to be fine. Everything's going to be perfect. We're going to have a great time. And you know what? If they want to come and cause problems, I will find ways to not be a part of it. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to play that game. So I took it upon myself to set the stage for everything going swimmingly. And I got a couple other family members, like my husband, to do the same thing. Like, you know what? Actually, I should probably say it was the other way around, because he's the one that looked at me and went, wow, you're really kind of freaking out, and you're probably not putting the best energy into the situation. So we made a mutual agreement that, you know what, we're going to plan on this being fantastic, and we're going to be forgiving and just imagine that this is going to go brilliantly, and we're going to have plans if it doesn't go brilliantly. That's it. And that's still the plan. And I talked to my angels about it and said, angels, you know what, help me with this, because I'm the one being a problem here. I'm the one being unforgiving and not letting go of some of the past incidents that I've had with this person. And this is not like me. That's probably my biggest shortcoming as a person, is holding grudges and having trouble letting things go. And I've really been working on that, obviously. I mean, there's always room for improvement. And I just said, if this is just going to be an absolute disaster, if this person is going to walk into the situation planning on making this a disaster, give me a heads up or something. Give us some way to avoid having that happen. Because honestly, my biggest concern right now is that I'm carrying a new little person. Like, I don't want to subject my unborn child's energy to toxic people. And so I just said, you know what, if it's going to turn into a train wreck, yeah, give me a heads up, give us an out, help us deal with it as best as possible, but let it be great. Let it be awesome. Let this person and us reconnect in ways that we haven't connected in years, and find some common ground and have a good time. And, it's just one evening. Help me to make the choice to own my energy and say, I'm going to have a good time regardless. And so that's the intention I'm holding, and that is what I would recommend for anyone who's having similar concerns about family members or people that they're going to have to see around this time of year. And it is amazing watching what happens, because last update we heard is that this person all of a sudden is not coming. So it's kind of like, on one hand, that's kind of a bummer, because I would love for the family to be able to get together and not necessarily reconcile, but to have an opportunity to recreate some good memories and try to push the bad ones out. But that might have partially been my angels answering my plea for, if this person's just going to cause problems, help us figure out a way to not let that happen. And all of a sudden, they might not be coming. So it's kind of a balance between forgiving and wanting to be a good family member, and wanting to open your arms back up and accept people, and being logical and realistic about, do they want to open arms and reconnect, or do they just want to perpetuate problems? And sometimes it's really amazing when, as humans are flawed in our thinking, we are biased in our thinking, and we can only see what's here. We can't necessarily look into the peripherals, all this information that's out here about what's going on. And so we have to just try to make the best of everything and make the best of the information that we have. And sometimes I think praying about it and asking angels for help can really clear a lot of things up, which is why I work with them so much, because they can see what we can't, and they can help when we don't know how to help ourselves. And they can step in and go, you know what, this is just going to be a train wreck. So we're going to find ways to, divert this crisis. But they can't do that unless you ask. So I guess that's something else. Just kind of part of this whole thing is just be willing to ask for help, be willing to say, and this is what I was saying, I don't know. I don't know what the intention is. I don't know how this is going to go. All I know is that I am already biased about this. So I need you guys to guide me, and I need you guys to help. And I trust that no matter how this turns out, it's going to be for the best. So recognize that the energy around this time of year is crazy. And if you are an empath or sensitive or psychic of any sort, you can definitely take on that energy without meaning to. Own your energy. Make a conscious decision. I am owning my energy, and I am not just going to let the craziness sweep me up and away. 3, shield your energy. Going back to that a little bit, picturing spheres or bubbles of light around you can really help. If you picture like pink light around you, it's very loving, it's very warm, it can kind of diffuse itself into the room and make everyone a little happier, a little more compassionate toward each other. And it lets love out and lets love in, but it doesn't let negativity in. So white light is very, very protective. Pink light is loving and protective, things like that. And it's a really great exercise to use if you don't have crystals on hand or can't just run out and buy some before a family get together. Really just keep your thoughts positive. Remember that we're still manifesting at a very high rate right now. And ask for help. Just, open yourself up to your angels and to your sources, and open the channels and say, I need help because I don't know how to deal with this. I'm probably not dealing with this in the most healthy way. And I want this to go as best as it possibly can. And they will find ways to help, whether that's by basically making you chill your butt out, which has been a lot of it for me. My angels regularly come in and basically say, you need to bring it down a couple notches because you're freaking out. Or by potentially just diverting disaster. And they're amazing at doing that in very loving ways, by basically just causing you to suddenly not enter into a situation that could have turned out poorly. So I think that's about it for this week. It was kind of a lot of information, but it's really pertinent heading into the next month and a half between now and New Year, because the energy of Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's can really catch up with you, and can really make you go crazy if you're not staying on top of it. So those are my suggestions, and I'm actually not really drawn to do a card reading this week. I feel like just leaving you guys with, take some time, do a little meditation, and ask your angels for help with whatever it is you feel like you're struggling with, whether it's energy, whether it's a certain person, whether it's concerns, you're projecting concerns about a certain situation. They just want us to say, help me with this, because I don't even know what to do. So on that note, I'm going to sign off for today. Like I said, I will not be here next week. I will be here the week after that, and hopefully we'll have a guest with us. So for now, blessings, and be sure to head to lindseyrainwater.com to pick up your free Divine Gifts meditation and the printable PDF that goes with it. And you can also go to lindseyrainwater.com, ask-me-a question. I think there's a hyphen in between A and question. I need to fix that. But if you go there, you can sign up and ask me a question for free on anything, and I will give you insight and reading or whatever it is you need and that I feel called to give. And it's a great way to ask about your divine gifts, experiences you're having, or general life questions, anything that you feel stuck on. So if you feel like you need any assistance, just come on over and ask my help. And I will see you in 2 weeks. In the meantime, just enjoy your holidays, and I'll talk to you then.